Darious Williams is one of the more interesting veterans that's out there, still on the free agent market as I record this late Monday afternoon. Cut by the Jags 2 years into a 3-year, $30 million contract. I thought his 2023 film was largely spectacular. Guy who doesn't give up a ton of big plays, even though I will show you two of them in this video. Did have 4 interceptions last year, 19 passes defensed as well. I thought there was 2 more interceptions just in the 5 games of film that I used for this video. Two more potential interceptions out there where either a teammate or an opposing team's wide receiver was able to get in the way and disrupt him of catching the football. Played a whole heck of a lot of snaps in 2023 for the Jags. Really only saw him come off on their goal line or short yardage defense at 5'9", 185-ish. Doesn't appear to be a big tackler to me, but in coverage, extremely versatile, number one. Very smart, number two. Thirdly, I've seen him leave space and what looks like intentionally for the quarterback to throw the football to a receiver such that he can break quickly on the football. Not necessarily for interceptions. Maybe that's his plan. But the way it works out, just to break quickly on the ball, on the throw, and get a pass defensed. Potential interception. Really good at high pointing the football, if you ask me. Played with the Rams in the Super Bowl, mind you, before signing with the Jags. I think this is a guy that's out there, apparently visited with the Giants Monday morning. As a Ravens fan, would love to see him looked at, but who knows what kind of contract demands he's going to have. Last year, his cap hit, I think, was $12 million for the Jags. They decided to get rid of him 1 year before his deal expired. I really don't have any idea why, to be honest with you. I know what the film looks like from 2023, and even at what will be age 31, to me looks like an extremely productive starting outside corner. I do understand that he spent some time playing in the slot, maybe as a nickel defender for the Rams. I didn't see any film of that looked like he would be a long-term, consistent performer at the nickel. Despite his size, competed extremely well against multiple high-level receivers, and I want to present that in this video. First and foremost, Darious Williams is a closer, a finisher, if you will, as a defensive back, meaning when the ball is in the air, he's going to either make a play on it to intercept it or at least challenge the receiver such that it truly is a 50-50 ball. I would say he plays larger than his 5'9" frame, if you ask me. Now, this is a ball that's thrown directly to him. It's a third down on the road against the Browns. They're running a slant out concept and trying to either get him picked with his teammate. But in this case, his teammate ends up running directly into the wide receiver, no call, which there shouldn't be. Both of those players are entitled to their space. Flacco's already throwing the ball, expecting the receiver to win. And in this case, Darious Williams is the guy who is clean to the inside, gets what you would definitely call an easy interception. Competes well at the catch point, does something that other people refer to as ball tracking. I don't refer to it as ball tracking. Maybe that's because I've played decades of baseball and softball, so I don't consider it a skill to be able to track the ball in the air. It's just a thing that athletes do. But in any case, this is Stephon Diggs, and this is not a late second quarter situation where Josh Allen's just throwing the football up. I think that Williams transitions a little bit late, turning and going, if you will. Opening up, Diggs eventually is able to run by him, but Williams is a guy who doesn't give up on the football, number one. Number two, wins more than his fair share of these, what people would call 50-50 balls. He's got great desire and tenacity. The only relative weakness that I would say is occasionally in press man, he appears to be able to be beat to the inside on a post or a climb concept where larger framed receivers can kind of use that outside arm to not push off, but frame him up a little bit and kind of break his posture, break his balance. I think I will show you one example in this video. A gift interception, if you will, by Gardner Minshew, who played extremely poorly in Week 6 in Jacksonville. Williams, with the ball in the air, is always going to be able to identify the football. I guess that's a skill that many people talk about with defensive backs. To me, again, it just seems like a common sense thing for an athlete to be able to do. For a guy at his age to be able to get 4 interceptions with 20 basically passes defensed and be so sticky in coverage, so close to receivers generally, he does look like a starting outside corner. To me, I understand that this draft looks really good as far as corners, and the corner free agency class has some guys out there who can start as well, bigger names than him. I think he's a spectacular football player. Any Jags fans, if you watch this long, let me know what you thought the coverage breakdown was for them. I don't rely on data aggregate sites. I really just kind of look at the film and make up my own judgment. I do see a lot of zone and what I think is quarters or match coverages where Darious Williams correctly reads the route concepts and responds to them based on the half-field call that is provided. This is a play-action boot concept. Flacco getting out of here to the offense is right. A little bit late, if you ask me. I think he could get this ball out here to Tillman, but I think it's a good example of Williams breaking downhill and the timing to get there right as the ball arrives. He does this consistently, and that's why I picked some of these plays to show you to illustrate that skill. Again, against the Colts at home in week 6, going to be against Alec Pierce, a guy with a large frame, 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver. He's able to get up and challenge at the catch points. He's got great leaping ability, great timing, as I said. Again, if I don't know why the Jags cut him, if you have more information than I do, I didn't actively seek it and go look it out. I just watched the film. After watching about 6 or 8 coverage plays, I thought this guy looks like he can still start. Having said that, I included a couple of plays here where Darious Williams is challenging the play, is making an attempt, and I think responding correctly. But in this case, against Alec Pierce on a 4th and 7, the very next play after the one I just showed you is giving up a completion for 14 or 15 yards. You can see he's breaking on the ball as the ball is thrown. He's got great eyes, if you ask me, able to play the routes and see the ball thrown at the same time. Not every player can do that. When you're playing in zone, you would think it'd be easy for NFL guys to do. Darious Williams, if you ask me, is at the higher end of the spectrum in being able to react as the ball is thrown just on time or even before the route has declared itself. Now, this is a 4th and 7, so he's got surely he has an understanding of when the receiver is going to break his route off. Super smart football player, if you ask me, contests everything. This is a 1st and 10. Great throw from Josh Allen from the far hash to Gabe Davis. Ball gets spotted for a 9-yard gain. You can see the ball's already out from Allen, and Darious Williams has eyes on it. Basically, he plays receiver until such time that he doesn't have the ability to. I think this is a really high-level corner. Feel free to let me know in the comments section if you have a different opinion. I've only been exposed to his film from a concentrated standpoint, meaning intentionally looking at him on every snap for about 80 plays that I've saved over the course of the last 5 days. Against the Steelers, I thought he's played a spectacular game in Week 8. Up at the top, oftentimes playing field side corner. And he plays routes exceptionally well. He took away out routes by George Pickens multiple times, and you'll actually see 2 examples of him competing with Pickens at the catch point in an elevated fashion and winning on 2 of those instances. He either does great film study or he's just put in the correct position by his coaches consistently. I think it's probably a whole lot more of the former with some of the latter sprinkled in. I think this is a highly intelligent football player who understands route concepts and game situations. Basically looks like a trap 2 here, or 2 read, if you will. But watch the way Williams does it. His eyes are completely on Pierce right now, but he's got an opposite read. Oftentimes in 2 reads, you're looking at 2, meaning the inside receiver, to run the out, and you're breaking on that. Williams is doing this the opposite direction. He's releasing Pierce outside to the safety, letting him run the vertical to the safety, and then breaking to the out route that he knows is coming. Functionally, this works out like 2 read, if you will, depending on the half-field terminology that you're familiar with. Some people call it palms, but the way Williams does it, if you ask me, tells you about his versatility, because he's eyeing one first, and he knows the route concept so well for the Colts. They're a division opponent, of course, that he's able to break on it after trusting that the safety will be there. Spectacular football player, if you ask me, at outside corner. Deep pass to the left here to Pickens on a 3rd and 2. Pickens definitely has him beat, and he cleared him once in this game as well, meaning got deeper than Williams did. But Williams is a guy who continues to compete, as you saw in the interception against Diggs, number 1. Number 2, has great timing in terms of when to jump for the football. I have no idea what the Giants' visit looked like this morning. I don't keep track of the news for such situations. It's hard enough to keep up with all of the free agent signings thus far for each position. But because he was released, the signing of him would be different, I believe, for a team, for the Jags, because it wouldn't receive a comp pick, if I understand the situation correctly. This one is Deontay Johnson, who actually had 2 catches one-on-one against him, running a deeper out. Everything that is thrown to Darious Williams' side, he's willing and able to challenge, to contest. He's a dangerous guy to deal with, and I don't know that that's been the case his entire career. I don't pretend to know a whole lot about his situation with the Rams, other than he played a whole lot of snaps in their Super Bowl run. 3rd and 16, late in the game, I think less than 3 minutes left. And this is thrown to George Pickens up the right sideline. He's certainly won a lot of these balls for the Steelers in the last 2 years. This is a jump ball against a 5'9", 185-pound player, and Darious Williams is able to win that matchup. Doesn't get the interception, but gets a pass defensed. Up at the top side against Moore, kind of the sail flood concept. And Darious Williams trusts the safeties to his side. In some cases, and I'll show you a play later, him and the safety don't appear to be on the same side, but this is him and Rayshawn Jenkins. The Jags like to drop their safeties down and kind of give them a ceiling almost until a vertical shows up, almost like a inverted Tampa 2 or invert cover 2. In this case, Williams, after he gets off with the vertical by the inside receiver, is able to jump and challenge Moore at the catch point, almost get another interception. You can see how much of a ball hawk he is, or how much he gets to the football, gets his hands on it, versus a lot of other outside corners in the league. A couple of examples of him giving up catches. I still feel like he forces the quarterback and receiver into lower percentage throws along the sideline deep. I don't feel like he has trouble with larger framed receivers, at least in the film from 2023. Where I have seen him give up catches has generally been to the smaller, quicker, shiftier guys like Diggs. Deontay Johnson here makes an amazing catch along the right sideline from Trubisky for, I think, 12 yards. Moore from the Browns got him on this 20-yarder. You would think at 5'9", 185, you would have trouble matching up with bigger 6'3", 6'4 receivers like Pierce or Pickens. That's almost been the reverse of what I've seen in this film study. Again, I've really taken a serious look at his film for the last 5 days. If you have more familiarity with Darious Williams and or the Jags defenses, feel free to let me know. This appears to be a miscommunication. A touchdown to Bell on what looks like a mesh concept, 4th and 3. And he's going with number 8 Moore instead, along with Rayshawn Jenkins, some type of communication mix-up. And as a result, in this cover 0, Bell ends up wide open, 41-yard touchdown after the catch. You can see Bell motions down. He's the inside receiver, and it appears as if he's responsible for Bell on this play. Bell initially takes an outside release. The outside receiver, Moore, goes underneath, so Jenkins goes with him, and Williams appears to take Moore initially, leaving Bell wide open. Flacco smartly finds him. Long touchdown, week 14. Another smaller, quicker receiver getting a catch of 18 or 19 yards against him. Week 5 against the Bills. Deeper out concept. Williams jumps to the inside. One thing I will say is when I have seen him give up deeper outs completed like this one, it hasn't happened twice in one game. He seems to, if you ask me, almost kind of learn from it. This is against Diggs. Safeties appear capped. In this case, the safety to his side is taking Dawson Knox on the out. Initially, I think Williams is going to run with this, and then he recognizes that safety is not taking the vertical, so Diggs ends up being wide open. It is a 48-yard gain. It should get applied to Darious Williams, which it did. My point in showing it to you is there appears to be a slight coverage mix-up between those two guys in terms of who's going to handle the out here and who's going to handle the vertical. Really bad camera work on this one. Let me fast forward a little bit. Down here at the bottom side, last 2 plays that I'll show you against Amari Cooper. That week 14 game, going to give up a deep out with a lot of space here. Cooper's pretty much wide open. This is the 8th possession of the game. Same possession still, same matchup. Williams on the bottom side against Cooper. Very similar route, even though Cooper's bringing it in more towards the top of the numbers. Williams learns, if you ask me. He's a veteran corner. I have no idea on some of the split field coverage calls that the Jags use. Don't pretend to have as much familiarity with their defense as I certainly do with the Ravens and or the Lions, but to me, he looks extremely adept at competing in man along the outside, meaning from the top of the numbers to the sideline. Where he has given up big catches was either a miscommunication, the one against Diggs for 48 yards, the touchdown by Bell week 14 against the Browns. It doesn't look like to me he's a guy that gets physically overwhelmed by big receivers at all, number one. Number two, very dangerous to put the ball in situations where he can make a play on it, as shown by the fact he had 4 interceptions and 19 passes defense this year. I recorded this Monday afternoon after the initial free agent frenzy, so I have no idea if he's signed with the Giants or anyone else yet. My opinion, someone should be looking at getting him immediately, as quickly as possible. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments section.